Happy 2022, everyone. This is the return of the Sociology Unmasked podcast. This is going to be the first episode of the new spring semester in January here. So, welcome on. This is episode, I'm not sure, maybe number 3 or 4. But we have today, we're going to talk about the Environmental Sustainability Club on campus, Reconnect. And one of the main things that they do is host a farmers market every semester on campus called the Reconnect Farmers Market, which has been around for 11 and a half years now and has become a real staple on campus that a lot of people look forward to, and it's doing a lot of good things. To start off, I'm the faculty advisor for Reconnect. I'm very glad. Reconnect evolved out of my first semester here on campus in 2008 in the fall. I was teaching a class on social problems, and we got into the environmental section of the class, and I'm an environmental sociologist. It's my main beat. And some students came up to me after class, or after a couple of the classes, because we spent about a week and a half on it, on environmental issues, and we're like, what can we do? Well, we want to do something. Let's start a club. And that's how it happened, and it's been going strong ever since. Reconnect is a great club on campus. So with that, I'll just go ahead and allow you guys to do some introductions of yourself. If you could just, our 3 guests we have here, we have Lauren Cook, we have Kelsey Brown, and we have Malia Brown. Not related as far as I know. But Lauren, let's start with you, shall we?
Well, I'm a junior communications undergraduate student. I am going to be running the Reconnect market. I'm going to be doing that internship, so that's really cool. I'm super excited about it. It's all I've been able to think about all winter break. I previously was doing an internship with the downtown Hammond Development District, which I was the farmers market intern for Michelle Kendall there, who's the market manager. So it's cool to sort of be like leveling up, I guess, going from being, I mean, it's still an internship, but from being the intern to the one who's like sort of running it. So it's nice. It's exciting.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool. You're going to be, and I forgot to mention this, you're going to be the new Reconnect Farmers Market manager intern of for the Reconnect Farmers Market. And it's really funny because kind of Kelsey, who I'll go to next, she was the Reconnect Farmers Market manager intern last semester in the fall, and she found Lauren. So if you could give us a little intro, Kelsey, and then tell us about how you hooked up Lauren here.
Sure. So I am a sociology major. I graduated with my undergrad last spring, and then I applied to the graduate program. And my first semester, I decided to do the internship in environmental sociology as the Reconnect farmers market manager. That kind of expanded my interest and everything else to go to the Hammond market with a group of students, Malia, Thais, and Maddie and I became really good friends, and we all decided to venture out and go there. And Lauren was the Reconnect or the farmers market manager at the Hammond market. And so I just thought it'd be a really great fit. The market is so fun, and thought she'd be a perfect fit for it. And it actually worked out. She was a student there, and everything just kind of fell into place.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Yeah, that was really neat. The serendipity of that and how it all worked out. All right, Malia, you are the new Reconnect president for the spring semester. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am majoring in human sciences with a concentration in nutrition. And I think, like, with my classes and learning more about nutrition made me focus more on, like, the environmental impact that nutrition has on pretty much everything and how it's very heavily tied to the environment. So I figured, like, to be able to hopefully do my job better as a future registered dietitian, I wanted to learn more about how it affects the environment and like
Mhm.
our day-to-day lives.
Mhm.
And so yeah.
Yeah, so interesting, and because the new year, this is the time we always hear about diets and right and all that kind of stuff. Everybody is doing it, the new diet fads. And and I've heard a few podcasts on other places I get podcasts about obesity and stuff like that. And I always feel like there's this disconnect, right? Because they talk about these things, but they talk about them from like the individual standpoint, and just like you're talking about, Malia, is that the our food system in general has such a big impact on on our environment, but as well on what choices we have, right? I mean, if our food system in general, what is available to us and what is most available and what is most convenient, if our food system in general was different, maybe we wouldn't have these issues and we wouldn't need all these diet fads that come out and people join for a couple of months and then by by Mardi Gras it's all done. you know yeah, so really, yeah, very, very, very interesting. Um, and you were still a part of Reconnect last semester, weren't you, Malia? You want to tell us a little bit how you got into Reconnect and what, how your role evolved?
Well, like thankfully my mom kind of introduced me to like farmers markets, and I always liked the idea of being outside and like kind of having a more personal relationship with like food and art and music. And it was naturally like kind of like everything I was already interested in. And then when I saw it on campus, I'm like, "Oh, this is so cool," but like it just keeps popping up. And I'm like, I don't know when it's happening or where it's at. So when I was able to like learn more from the Instagram about Reconnect. I'm like, okay, this is something I want to be a part of because I want it to continue because I know how much I looked forward to it as a student, especially before COVID when we actually had stuff going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
graduating in the spring, so
Ah!
yeah, yeah. So now I'm just kind of like, okay, like how can I help just to make sure that the future students still have this going on and because it's yeah, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
We need enjoyable things on campus.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And and I think it's rare. This is what's so special about the farmers market uh, and other things around the good food movement, as we like to call it, is that it's something that's really important and that is part of changing the food system, but it's also enjoyable, right? It's something positive. It's something it's a celebratory thing, but at the same time it's super important, not frivolous at all. Um, can you tell us? Of course, I introduced Reconnect, but in your words, what is Reconnect?
Well, kind of like how you were saying before, I feel like I've recently just learned how everything is very connected. And I think maybe our biggest problem in general is viewing everything as its own individual entity, as if nothing is like a chain reaction. So, like, even studying nutrition, it's kind of like, okay, it's not just about eating fruits and vegetables, it's also about the production of meat or the production of fast food and the production of. I didn't know how connected it was in like the overall bigger picture. So I guess like reconnect to me, it's like if on campus we could teach students about just how impactful farmers markets are, maybe they'll be more interested in learning like, oh, like I wonder what's behind this or like how this leads to this.
So I'm not as as acquainted with it as y'all are, but I guess from what I've seen of it, it's sort of a good way, and this is how what I'm excited about it for is that it's to get people who are about to be adults, and farmers markets in general are are super great for the communities. But I like getting college students involved because I like the opportunity to sort of talk to people around me, like my peers, and the important things about like eating good and taking care of the environment and each other, honestly.
That's an interesting point I want to come back to. Kelsey.
So Reconnect is an environmental club that teaches the student body and campus community on sustainability opportunities and ways that we can all come together to do something, whether it be come to the farmer's market, be a student vendor, water the vegetables at the sustainability center, just join a meeting. It's a way to bring everyone together in a like-minded way that sometimes people don't realize they can do, because it's either they just like to eat healthy or they like to avoid plastic or whatever it may be. It's a way to bring everyone together on an issue and create change. And it's also really important that we can put the work that we learn to action. And it's especially in terms of food accessibility and food education, it creates a safe place for all students to just ask questions and learn more.
Yeah. And it's funny, right? Well, it's not funny, but Reconnect, and the farmers market went through a hiatus there, beginning in March 2020, along with the rest of the world, right? Everything shut down. And so we had about a year and a half where there was basically no Reconnect and no, of course, no farmers markets on campus. So Kelsey, you really instrumental for bringing the club back, helping to bring the club back. You and Maddie and Malia, and you were the first intern or manager of the farmers market. Once we, last semester, the return of the market after 2 years. And Malia, you became a member of the club and really an important member of kind of bringing the club back and the market back. So maybe you guys could speak to what that was like, right? Because I mean, the club was just about, like so many things, defunct because it just hadn't been around. Students moved on, right? And so what was that like, bringing everything back, the club and the market?
I was really nervous to start because I thought that anyone that was interested was either far gone or just wasn't in a good headspace to do something like this. So I thought I was going to have to do a lot of work to create some buy-in from the student community. And it was not like that at all. And the more I got into it, the more I realized that we need this and there is a place for this. Students want an outlet of some sort, whether they have to be on campus or they're just, hanging out at the house and they're browsing Instagram, which is a wonderful tool that we utilize through this process because it created accessibility for everyone. And it was difficult to kind of rein in what had changed as far as maybe vendors that had taken a break or new vendors that we didn't have the contact information for and things like that. But once it got started, I mean, it was as simple as putting the now open sign out an hour before the market for people to just turn their head and find out, well, what is this? What's going on? I mean, it was wonderful. And the students, they just kept coming. And Malia, I want you to tell everyone how it was to be a vendor there, because that's something that I'm most proud of. The fact that we had students not engaged at all turn into vendors and created an autonomy to sell their own products. And just, that was one of my favorite things about it, was that more and more students just kept coming up to ask questions or to want to participate. And, there's definitely a need for it, for sure.
Definitely. I think after the pandemic, we were all kind of desperate for that like social interaction and just being able to do things in person into, we all kind of picked up some weird little like talents or baking or whatever. So like I was selling clay pottery that I had picked up because I was bored and I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, like this is kind of cool. So to be able to have like a resource right there on campus that was supporting me and was easy enough for me to be like, okay, let me set up this table and see who wants to help me out and have my friends do it too. And my friends support people they don't even know, but they're like, oh, this is cool. Thank you for telling me about this. Like, it was very much needed at the time, especially because everyone just wanted something interesting, something social, something like, okay, I'm happy to be back on campus. I'm happy to get involved again. So
Mm-hmm.
it made me very like proud to be a part of it. And I'm like, okay, this is very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, boy, especially with that first market, that was something I really, really noticed is everybody or so many people, that still remembered the market, right? New people that were just hungering for it, and the encouragement by you, Kelsey, to really get student vendors going. And I have to say, Malia mentioned how she started to learn more about the market uh, through Instagram, right? And that was, Kelsey, that was something that you were responsible for, getting, the market to have a presence on Instagram. I know before the pandemic, Reconnect or the market really didn't have a presence outside of Reconnect's homepage on Facebook. I mean, I think the university did a few postings for it when we would announce it, but it wasn't nearly to the extent that you really brought it to, Kelsey. So yeah, can you talk about that and the rise of more student vendors?
Yes, my favorite part. So the Instagram, the thought process behind that was I know what I do when I'm home and I'm relaxing and I'm browsing Instagram and I'm guilty of doing all those things we're told not to do. But I also know how many students use it to contact each other, start small businesses. I met some wonderful artists, some wonderful chefs, just by being in my own home, liking their posts, sharing their posts, extending it to my friends that don't even go to school, because it just creates a channel for everyone to be able to view the same thing. And, you hear that you're not supposed to, stay on the internet and everything. Well, let's turn it into something good. Let's find a way that we can make it educational. So the best part about all that was the featured vendors. And that was really cool because it gave people something to prepare for, something to look for, something I've worked in the restaurant business since 2005. And something I've learned very quickly was that people eat and desire with their eyes. And when vendors would share things with us that we were able to show other people, it created like desire. People just wanted to be a part of that. They wanted to see it. They wanted to eat it. They wanted to listen to the music, the yoga. I was able to bring one of the trainers from the gym in Slidell to the market because she has a real passion for food as well. And we have a connection with the mental aspect of everything. And so she wanted to be a part of it with me, and just to be able to promote her business in return was enough for her. So it was mutually beneficial for everyone, and it was just easily accessible for everyone. You didn't have to pay, you didn't have to go through the campus to put flyers up and things like that. It was something we could do on our own with each other, and it's something very modern that a lot of younger students and children do. So that was fun. And the student vendors, I mean, that that's just the best part. So Malia was one. We had a few more. And then during the first market, I had at least 5 other students contact me and say that they wanted to do it as well. And I mean, what's better than that, right? I love that. I love that you have to be on campus. I mean, there, especially in grad school, I've noticed that all the classes are on campus. You have to be there. So if you're going to be there and you're going to get hungry, you're going to, we all know how it goes. Let's create an alternative that is very desirable and interesting for students. It's not just your typical Chick-fil-A or Taco Bell in the student union. It's a way for us to teach healthier habits, sustainable habits for students, and also the farmers that obviously needed it as well at the time because they weren't getting that business. And the students really flock to that because it's a lot harder outside of school to start your own business. And I've noticed that every single one of them has continued it, and that's great.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And to just sort of give a short explanation of the featured vendors that you started on Instagram, I guess about a week before markets, is that right? You'd start doing these posts featuring, a particular vendor with a little blurb on Instagram and some nice photos of them and their products. And, come see so-and-so at the market, and that, that builds up a buzz, just like you're saying, is the eyes, and is educating folks about these local sustainable businesses. So let me segue from that into, what is the mission of the Reconnect Farmers Market and Reconnect? What's their mission? And how are why is this stuff important? How is it different from Chick-fil-A, right, or whatever is in the student union?
Well, those things are good, but they're not sustainable for our bodies or the environment. And when we have a chance to eat slow food, as I like to call it, food grown the right way, from regenerative agriculture practices or ways that are done, I say the right way, but the old-fashioned way, the way that things were done before industrial food systems were created and things like that. It kind of brings us back to what we're here for, and it's to create a mutual relationship with the environment, to live a little bit slower, to eat a little bit healthier. And, it's as basic as eating from a farmer's garden, but it's more about what that does for the environment in return, what that does. You're providing an income for the farmer, but you're repaying Earth back for what she gives us. And you're also sticking it to the industrial guys that don't really care about us. I mean, the antibiotics, the this, that, the travel, the global food systems. I mean, we get wrapped up in day-to-day life that, it's not our fault. We don't understand and we don't have the education. So that's a big part of the farmers market for me, was to teach people, hey, there is an alternate way, and it's also there waiting for you to want it. And it's as easy as just making a small change, because the farmers these days, they know what students need, young adults need. They know what 9-to-5 life is like. So, the boxes and things like that. There are tons of ways that you can do good without going out of your way and exhausting yourself. And the farmers market for me was just to kind of bring all that back and to center that around what we're really here for. And that's just to mutually live,
Yeah. Awesome. Malia, what is the mission of I know it dovetails a lot with that, and so much of what Reconnect does is the farmers market. But what is the mission of Reconnect, and how does that fit into everything that Kelsey was saying? And maybe this would be a good place to say, what Reconnect, is what else Reconnect does, and if they have anything else planned for the new semester.
So I definitely think we're going to have a big impact on just educating people in general. Like, I remember when I was sitting there as one of the vendors, and Tyler, he had brought vegan gumbo as a student vendor. And even if people didn't buy it, students were walking by and they were like, like, that's interesting. Because especially being in the South, they're like, this is new. I didn't know this existed, so like, what's this about? So just being able to like bring forward more things that students can be like inquisitive about. That's what I'm really interested in, not to maybe make everybody jump in and, oh yeah, eat these salads, eat these stuff, try this stuff. Just like being able to be there as an option is like, if you're interested, or exposing students to sustainability, exposing them to more education or ideas about the environment. That's what I'm really interested in. And I think probably for the next semester, I know we talked about bringing more music to just attract the students more, possibly bringing like more presentations, areas where students can have discussions about like what's going on. Because as a vendor, a lot of students were like, oh, what is this? How often is this happening? How can I sign up? And luckily, we did have a table where students could sign up. So really expanding it, because people do want to be a part of it, as long as we just continue to be there for them. So I'm really excited for that part.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. So, Lauren, tell us about what you did for the Hammond Farmers Market, and then what kind of what do you foresee? What do you hope to do with the Reconnect Farmers?
So for Hammond DD, I helped with like office stuff, but for the farmers market, I a lot of times just sit there and answer questions about the farmers market at a table. But I also helped with their community garden, which is something I'm really proud about. I helped like build it with my own hands, and a lot of yard work, so many hours of yard work. And I also, something that I'm very, very proud of is I also helped get like SNAP benefits at the farmers market, which is something that is really important to me, to make sure that healthy food and good food is not only just accessible, but to everyone. That's something that I find very important, and I want to make sure that like that's something that maybe is like a focus. So, and just sort of like getting a healthier connection with like nature and food, like all of it together and with each other. I mean, I'm a communications person, so that's a big deal for me. And that's part of the reason why I've always loved food, because humans connect over food in meal times. Like that's when connections happen. And I feel like if it's not like something that's sustaining you and it's not like good for the world around you, it's not gonna, I don't know, be the same as it would if it was like something that was helpful to you and healthy.
What Lauren just talked about, kind of goes back to what a phrase that Kelsey, you mentioned a little bit earlier, repaying the earth, and I really think that that's, when we talk about the farmers market, and especially the Reconnect farmers market, we're talking about, the Reconnect farmers market highlights producers and growers and farmers that are, doing so sustainably or using sustainably produced products in whatever they're making, right? And so in that way, yeah, we're, repaying the earth. I really like that. And the SNAP benefits, tell me how that works at a farmer's market, Lauren.
So they have this, you like when you first walk up at the farmer's market table, you would tell them how much money you want to send, and I guess you would like swipe your your card, and then they give you like little poker chips or like little tokens, and for different dollar amounts. And then each vendor that has SNAP eligible foods has items that are specifically set out for those things, because there are certain regulations on like what can and can't be bought with that. But I sadly I left before it got enacted, so I helped with some of the research and supported Michelle as she set that up. But I'm super proud of it and of the whole DDD for doing that. But
yeah, that's really, really essential. Yeah, to get, unfortunately, so many times, especially at food banks, right? And this is just out of necessity. They need to have, shelf stable products, but usually that's highly processed food that isn't, it's got salt and sugar in it, but it's, it's not that not that full of taste, and it's not that healthy, right? And being able to spend your SNAP benefits at a farmer's market is really essential, and usually that's double, right? From what I understand, right? If you if you spend $20 of your SNAP benefits at the farmer's market, if they're participating farmer's market, they get to double that. Is that right?
I don't think we have that. I don't think that's a feature for ours at the moment.
I know that's a feature of the Crescent City farmers market.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of great like opportunities that sadly
my mistake for thinking that. I wish it was the norm for all farmers market, but many farmers markets do that, and it's through a USDA grant, right? That farmers markets can double the price of what people spend. So at the Crescent City farmers markets, the way it works, if you're a member, you're a resident of Orleans Parish and you're on SNAP, you can go to a farmer's market and spend $20, but you get $40 worth of stuff. So it doubles the.
It like matches what you pay. So that
yeah, and so that really incentivizes people who might not otherwise go to a farmer's market to come to a farmer's market.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that for a second. So really quickly, my really good friend, she's on SNAP benefits and typically goes to Walmart, spends her money, this, that, and the other. Well, at the Slidell Market, you can use the benefits at every vendor. And what you do when you walk up, you tell them how much you want, $50, $70. You swipe your card and they'll give you that many coins. You can use them for everywhere from the chaga tea to the pre-made food to everything. Well, my friend, she was really embarrassed at first. She was very uncomfortable. Sure. I don't care. Whatever. I'll use them because I know I work hard, and if that, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And if that got my friend to come to the market, that's what it is. Well, just from her being able to do that, every Saturday, 8 a.m., we are at that market together, spending money. She's getting fresh juices. She's getting vegetables. So not only is her money going to local farmers versus Walmart, but it also showed her that she's not just as good as Walmart. You know what I mean? Like she goes out and she comes and hangs out with me now. She looks forward to it. She texts me on Friday, hey, we going to the market? And you know what? If she's uncomfortable, I'll spend her coins just so she can come with me, because that's what makes it worth it. And I love that. So that's a really big deal. And I think that that's important for all markets to have. And I love that.
Yeah, and Kelsey, you mentioned something that's really an intangible, qualitative thing or element of that program, is that yes, it's got all these things, right? It's helping low income people or people who it's interesting. There's a stat, I think, that 1 in 3 of us at some point in our lives take care of or take advantage or are on some sort of social welfare program, right? So people think that, right, that it's only a certain type of person that's on SNAP or whatever, but most of us at some time in our lifetime, right, are going to be using these programs, right? But but yeah, it's got so it's helping them, right? It's helping us, people, and it's giving back to the local economy, and it's supporting farmers who are doing and growers who are producing food sustainably, right? And but it's that intangible, right, of what it does for the self-worth of the person, because nobody likes being on these things, right? There's a social stigma about being on any sort of social welfare that really sort of ballooned in the 1980s in the Reagan era, where they really politicized the welfare queen, and it was all wrapped up in race and all that kind of stuff. But there's a stigma, right? People are embarrassed, right? And yeah, going to Walmart does not help that low sense of self-worth, right? Nobody feels really does not get a positive sense of self-worth by going to Walmart, right? That's not what that experience is. But being able to come to a farmer's market, right, where it is a totally different atmosphere, one, yeah, it's not huge, but it's an important little thing, right? That it helps people to feel worthy, right? Even, just a little bit, right? And that's something interesting. Thank you for that, Kelsey. Let's see. Gosh, we could go on forever, right? Or at least I know I can, as you all know, as my students. But we got to kind of start wrapping it up here. But there are a couple of other things I would like to ask. Yeah, Kelsey, if you could just tell us, what was, oh, this is something important. Okay, so what kind of things are on, is it just a bunch of vegetables at the farmer's market? What kind of things, are on offer, and what's the variety like?
Well, especially for the Reconnect market, I thought it was awesome that we had things like beef jerky there, shelf sustainable things. You could get honey, elderberry syrup. We had our vendors like Malia who made her own crafts and things like that. We definitely had vegetables and fruits, but students flocked more to the vegan gumbo, the tasty treats. Berry Hill, she comes with her cheeses and her spreads and things like that. And ready to eat things they go over so well at the market. I would love to see more fruits and vegetables, but that can be tied into the education as well, teaching kids like how to cook and things like that. I think that was a little intimidating, but it's important to have. And so to keep up with that is really awesome. Somebody came with medals. He made his own medal, and he had like different decorations and things like that he made. Just all kinds of stuff, lots of food, but yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And speaking, you had this idea that maybe you could just talk a little bit about, Kelsey, towards the end of the semester there, about as you saw this increase in students wanting to be vendors, about a mentorship program for student vendors. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so I would love to see this happen. I've been in contact with all of the vendors that I've worked with. I haven't let them go far because they've left such an impact on my life. I want to see where they go, and I want to help them in my free time as well. So I met with one of the vendors at the Slidell Market because they're everywhere. They're not just in Hammond. They go to everywhere. And student vendors are very intimidated, and there's a bunch that will hopefully watch this and say, yeah, you're right, I want to do it, but I don't know where to start. And I think it would be incredible to have one of the vendors that knows the ropes, that's been doing this for a long time, mentor a student vendor and teach them the do's and don'ts, what to bring, what not to bring, how much to bring, pricing and things like that. Just to kind of take them under their wing and make them feel more comfortable expanding on their own. And then I think I think it would be great. And then maybe from there, students can help other students, and, however it works.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So, of course, the way this internship program works is, that Lauren's going to be the manager, but she won't be doing it alone, right? She'll have a tremendous support network in the students of Reconnect. She'll have Kelsey to bounce ideas off of and learn from and ask for advice as the last uh, manager, and hopefully, we could, Laura and I will talk at the beginning of the semester here, and I'll be working closely with her to support her in every way I can, and hopefully we can make that a new thing of the market. And you already talked to a couple of vendors about this, didn't you, Kelsey?
I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
One of them, her face lit up and she said, "Wow, how come I never thought of that?" And I was like, "Well, it just takes everybody to make a pie. So, it's all good."
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, as Kelsey, as the only sociology major in the group, maybe what sociological skills did you use as the manager, and how does it tie into sociology in general?
Well, we've talked a little bit in one of our classes about the diversity of crops and how monocrops are not good for the environment. We want to diversify the soil and things like that. Well, the same goes with people in the environment. And you want to be able to blend everything together to create the strongest possible outcome you can. You want people to be diversified, and you want them to interact with each other and not be afraid to ask each other questions and be vulnerable around each other about things like food accessibility and sustainability and things like that. I've always been a people person, and I've always been really good at pinpointing where people are uncomfortable and how I can motivate them. I've always been a motivator. I like to see people gain autonomy and be confident. That's my favorite thing, because I think that's just the best, healthiest outcome is if you're confident, nothing's going to stop you. And in terms of food, obviously physical health, mental health, and things like that. With the environment, it teaches us what the other ways, the right way, as I like to say it, but alternative ways to eating. And I don't know. Sociology is the only thing I really know how to do. I'm a people person. And it just connected me to the environment in a way where it made sense. Community resiliency, community therapy. That's something I'm really interested in doing more work with now, bringing the community together, because everybody likes to go the opposite way. And everybody is so busy all the time. We just get tunnel vision on the day and what we need to do to get it over with. And I just like to create alternate ways for people to be happy and, take on capitalism at the same time.
Yeah. It's very interesting, right? Because farmers markets are these celebratory, wonderful places to be. They create, done correctly, they create a sense of community, and that's what the farmers market does, right? Even for faculty, right? We're up in our offices, or we're locked away in our own buildings or our own wing of the hall in a building, and we rarely run into other people. And you come down to the farmers market, and there's this atmosphere where you wind up seeing a colleague you haven't seen in a while, or running into someone and, hey, we got to catch up, or just having some small conversation, and you get to know the vendors. It is a way to slow down, right? And to be present, right, and to enjoy this place, right? But at the same time, it's a very the farmers market is a very subversive act, right? It's an act of rebellion, right, which is very subtle because it's rebelling against the hegemonic, industrial food system, which treats people poorly, right? Anywhere from the people that work in all those fast food places in the student union, right? Like, look, they are not respected at all the way to the industrial farmers and the people who work in the meat factories, right? It's degrading, it's dehumanizing, and here we're the farmers market is and all the environmental problems, right, that industrial system creates, right? And here this farmers market is putting its thumb in the eye, right, of all that, right, by saying we have a better system, we have a new system that values the planet, that values our bodies, and that values people, and says this is what this is worth, and you deserve to be paid what this is worth, right? And that's really, really, really important, right? To show that we value what you are giving us, and here's what you deserve. It's fair. It's honestly priced food. It's an honest system, right? So it is. Yeah, the farmers market it's celebratory and it's wonderful and it's nice and it's community, but it's also subversive, right? That's something I like, and you made a good point, Kelsey. So maybe I could get some final thoughts from you guys. And one more thing. So we hope to bring Reconnect does hope to bring local representatives from the Sunrise movement, which is a youth-led movement to create meaningful policy around climate change. It's demanding that something be done now, right? And certainly the food system is a big part of that, right? We're leaving a mess for you guys. We're creating this mess now. We're living in it, right? But it's only going to get worse. And so, we're Malia and I will be working, as well as the rest of Reconnect, to bring some of those representatives onto Southeastern's campus in March, and to do some workshops and to do a talk, and to do some educating and organizing stuff. So that should be really, really, really cool. But let's see, can I get a few last comments from you guys? And where do people find Reconnect and the Reconnect Farmers Market, and when does it happen?
We're outside of the student union. It's typically on Wednesday, but that's up to Lauren and you guys with how y'all want to work the schedule out. Definitely follow the Instagram. It's Instagram /Reconnect_SELU. Facebook as well. I hope to see new faces, old faces. I want everyone to come get a healthy meal and some great conversation. I mean, that's the best part about it. Even if you don't want to buy anything, just come hang out in the grassy area for a little while. It's usually about 4 hours long, so you can come before class or after class, or skip class. No, I'm just kidding. Don't skip class. No, and that's why we do it like that. So you can come before class or after class, and just come out and just enjoy yourself, and I guarantee you'll be
Yes. It's usually the third Wednesday of every month, excluding January and May, of course, but so it should be going on the third Wednesday of February, March, and April. Of course, that depends on the holidays and spring break and Mardi Gras, but that's the way it should pan out. And from 10 to 2, outside of in front of the student union. Yeah, Malia.
I'm excited for us to expand. I'm excited for most students to come onto campus. I don't know. I know we had a really good start last year after the pandemic, so I have a lot of faith that this semester we're gonna have even more students, a lot more people interested, and get a lot more members in Reconnect as well. Because I do think most of us are seniors, so we need to just get more membership so we can continue on pretty strong.
That's right. We got to pay it forward, right? Yeah. Thank you. And Lauren, any last thoughts from you?
Well, I'm definitely excited to get started. Tiffany, who I work with at the library, who also did the internship, was the marketing manager. She handed me the binder today, which felt symbolic and was really nice. And I'm excited to work with Malia and, work on stuff with you, and just, excited. It's nice.
Yeah. Passed on the metaphorical torch there, right? And giving you the binder, the Reconnect Farmers Market binder, all the information for the farmers market, which each semester, interns have added to and changed. Really helpful, right? All the stuff is in there. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you all so much for doing this. It's really special. Reconnect, the farmers market is in its 11th year. Reconnect is in its 2008, 14th year, something like that. Wow. All right. Definitely something important, vitally important and wonderful for the Southeastern campus. Well, thank you guys. Hopefully we'll be seeing everybody at the farmers market, all the people that'll be watching and listening to this at the farmers market. You can, we'll be around. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, of course, my email is david.burley@selu.edu. And, if you want to get in touch with any of these wonderful people or look more into Reconnect, they give you the addresses, but you can also just look me up and I'll put you in touch. And that's it. Thank you all.
Thank you.